Hello and welcome everybody to the Separate to Elevate podcast. I'm your host, Coach Juice, aka Julian Baldy. Yes, we're back in this motherfucker. It's been 5 to 6 months, but we back at it. A lot of things to talk about. What happened, adversity, trenches, what's going on, all that good stuff. I'm here this time with my co-host, my fiance. Yes, you heard it right. Also, big moves happening with that. Mia, say hi to the people.
Hey guys.
So this podcast is just going to be a big turnaround. What happened in the past 5 to 6 months? What happened at the CFL Combine, LA? What's going on right now? The struggles, the trenches, all the talk of the past 5 to 6 months. Want to kind of give you guys an update because I know a lot of you guys asked to bring the podcast back, and I already knew this is going to be the right way to do it. So we're back. Listen and enjoy. Let's do it. So let's go all the way back. It's the end of November, end of football season of last year. Again, our season didn't turn out the way we wanted. 5-6, whatever. I didn't know if there was any pro opportunities because of how the season went. But guess what? If you don't know, just keep fucking working. That's what I did. That's what I kept doing. I went home for Christmas break, back to Italy. And crazy enough, I had a thought. I had a big belief that some way, somehow, something big is going to come up. I might have had a chance to get an invite to the CFL Combine. So in Italy, I didn't spend a lot of time with my family because I knew I had this big thing coming up maybe. So I was grinding twice a day, every day during Christmas break without actually knowing if I will get an invite or what will happen with my future. At some point, you got to be able to work when things are uncertain. And you have to just to trust and believe yourself that shit at the end of the day is going to happen for you because you put in the work. So I did that, and crazy enough, while I was flying back to the United States for spring semester, January of 2023, the first time I landed in the U.S., I switched my phone numbers from Italian to the U.S. again, and there goes, the CFL texted me. I had a phone call with them the day after I landed, and basically I got an invite to the CFL Combine. Dude, that feeling was incredible because, again, we came out of the bad season. There was no certain points where I thought, how would I make it now? How will I make it out? But that invite, like, really made me emotional because it paid off with so much work that I put in the past 10 years. Like, even 7 years ago, when I seen they start, like, doing these combines and stuff, I knew some way, somehow I would end up at a pro combine, and I put in work from day fucking one, and just getting that invite meant a lot to me. And guess what? I put my whole soul, my whole being into the next 3 to 4 months preparation for it, which we go into it in a little bit how that turned out. But that whole journey, that whole process was something for the books, in a good, but also like from like a pressure. So just to go back to the whole point of grinding when the vision, or you don't know if you're actually going to get somewhere. For instance, for me, I didn't know if I was getting an invite coming off a bad football season. Because again, we went 5-6, whatever. I really like this quote by Coach Lou, a strength and conditioning coach. He said, "Are you willing to sprint when the distance is unknown?" Just think about that. Let me repeat it because it's pretty hard. Are you willing to sprint when the distance is unknown? Basically, are you willing to go all in when you don't know how far or even if it might pay off at some point? So that's why I kept grinding, man. That's the number one thing is for me, hard work always pays off. You just don't know when it will. So keep that in mind. But basically, again, going back to it, came back from the U.S. to the U.S. after Christmas break, get an invite to the CFL Combine. Once that happened, I reached out to one of the best strength and conditioning coaches, in my opinion, on the planet. Shout out to Dave Lawrence up in Detroit, Mecca. Again, so I flew to Detroit once a month to get trained by him for the Combine, like Combine-specific training, because I still had school, so I couldn't leave for too long of a period of time. But I did the programming at my school, at Valdosta State. Again, that whole, just going back to Combine training, it was some very like I really was looking forward to my whole life. I was like when I was little, was looking at these pro athletes or people getting ready to train for the combine, and I was always fascinated by how people train for the combine, like the athletic ability behind it, the whole like day in the life behind it. Because again, just to give you a quick breakdown of what my day in the life looked like during my combine training, it was pretty intense. Like I put my whole being, my whole soul into this. So I will wake up. The number one thing for me was getting 10 hours of sleep. Yeah, you heard it, 10 motherfucking hours. It was really hard, honestly, because I always feel like if I sleep too much, people gonna outwork me. But then I had to refrain my mindset into, oh, if I sleep longer, I recover better. So it's still a way to outwork people in that sense. So woke up around 7:30, 8 a.m. Ate a big breakfast. Field session number one at the field around 10 a.m. Come back home, protein shake, recovery, eat, take a nap. Back to workout number two, this time in the weight room. Protein shake, back home, eat, go to sleep. Do that for 90, around 90 days, so 3 months total. And just everything was very specific. There was nothing that wasn't like planned for. I was obsessed with this shit. At some point in February, mid February, my numbers were dropping like crazy. My 10-yard split was improving a lot, and I was like, damn, like this shit actually like working. We moving now. And then unfortunately, I don't know why or how, I pulled my hamstring running my last 40 on one of my acceleration days. And that moment right there crushed me. I was 1 month out from the CFL Combine, the thing I've worked for my whole entire motherfucking life. And I just pulled my hamstring at the end of my training session on my last 40. If I didn't do that 40, maybe right now I'll be in the CFL. But basically, what happened? So I pulled my hamstring 30 days out of the combine. It took me like 2 weeks to get back to kind of normal, I would say, but my numbers were worse, way worse than they were, of course, before I pulled my hamstring. So those 2 weeks, I was the most depressed and sad person you've ever seen in your life. It's like, hey, you worked for this your whole fucking life, and let me just take it away from you a month before you actually like before it happens. It was a struggle. Dude, I cried I would say once a week during that period, maybe even twice a week. Mia, come jump in on this real quick. How bad was I once I pulled my hamstring during training a month out before the combine? I just want to give a little perspective here.
It was definitely a very dark period of both of our lives. Very negative and very just like confusing as well. He was just very down bad.
Very down bad, guys. Very fucking down bad. But at the end of the day, at that point. I'm a big believer. Everything happens for you and not to you. I just in that moment I didn't see it, but whatever. Moving forward, I was able to kind of like fix my hamstring in some type of way, get back to it. I had 2 more weeks to training before the combine. Did everything I could. Again, combine time, mid March. Flew out to Canada, and here as the combine was set up. We did vert and bench press in the morning, and then all the other testing in the afternoon. Here was the tricky part though. It took us around 4 hours to do the whole testing in the afternoon. So that means we start with broad jump, and then you had to wait another hour before you do the 40. Then you had to wait another like 30 minutes before you do the shuttle, another 30 minutes before you do the Alcon, and so on. So there was a lot of warming up, cooling down, warming up, cooling down. The problem was I didn't know it was set up that way. So I was ready to go the first time, but then all this warming up and cooling down with my hamstring already being weaker, I pulled my hamstring running the 40 at the combine again. And I mean, from there on, I thought my life was over. Everything I've ever worked for was, I was devastated, honestly. Coach Juice was fucking. Well, I was broken. I was broken. At the end of the day, I called Mia crying, because again, it was intense. Like everything I've ever worked for, I felt like was taken from me because I got hurt, and then thankfully the combine consisted of another 3 days of football specific stuff. They held me out the first day because again my hamstring had a whole bruise on it, so it was like tear two or some whatever they call it. But then, so they helped me out the first day, which was tough too, because I was like, I don't give a fuck. I want to go. I want to show them, okay, at least like the football part, since I pulled my hamstring, this and that. I was willing to do whatever it took. So at day two, they let me back in. I was able to ball out. But again, like that whole period was very intense. I thought everything I've ever worked for was for nothing. I felt almost like betrayed by myself, I guess. But that's the whole combine thing. It was just honestly, it was the worst time of my life in some sort. What wait, Mia want to say something?
When he ended up, I was watching all the scores like clockwork, like the whole day that everything was going on. He ended up texting me before his score was posted, and as soon as I saw his time, immediately just like laid down and I shut down for 2 hours because I was like, it felt like I ran that time. It felt like I hurt my hamstring. Like that's how invested I was with Julian and his life.
Yeah, well, you guys don't understand. Mia's a big part into this whole process. She was really able to help me during the whole dark time, but also during she went to sleep with me at 8 p.m. because I had to sleep 10 hours. She was willing to go to sleep early with me every day, just being there support, like a big support system. I think that's a big part, and honestly, that's why 2 weeks after the combine, I asked her to marry her because, I mean, Mia, you're the number one. You're number one.
Damn straight.
But so after the combine, I got an invite. I went to LA for WrestleMania to check that whole part out, and then after that, go back to Valdosta. Still didn't know if I would ever had a chance to get drafted or not because of my injury. Reached out to some agents. Some people were like, "Yeah, you could have a chance." Some other was like, "I don't know," because you got hurt, so that drops your stock a lot. Whatever. At the end of the day, I didn't get drafted. That shit hurt too. But again, like at the end of the day, I've been here. I've been doubted. I've been told no so many times. Like I feel like adversity is my middle name. Like what the fuck. So again, everything happens for you and not to you. Really, I really had to like believe in that. And at the end of the day, I found out why it kind of like happened for me and not to me, because it took me a long time to process this whole thing. But basically, after I came back from LA from WrestleMania, I asked Mia to marry me, so we got engaged. That was a big part of this process too. I kind of want to get into real quick what I've learned over these past 5 6 months, especially talking about the whole combine process, getting hurt, how I reacted to it. I'm a big believer you should always go all in some so you have no regrets. So for instance, for me, I went all into training, gave it my all for the combine. There was no stone left unturned. So so that's why I have a little bit more peace. I was able to, okay, it didn't work, but there's no I done everything I could. There was nothing else. I did literally everything. I did cryotherapy, red light, trained twice a day, ate strict, had no cheat meals for half a year. Like I was locked the fuck in, and it still didn't work. But that's how life hits you sometimes. And again, some people fold, but the people who want to succeed have to keep going. So guess what? We keep fucking going. And a lot of guys thinking, Coach Juice, man, what have you been up to now? I got a big, dude, I'm making big big fucking moves. I just can't tell you right now what I'm about to share, but it's coming soon. Just know this. Moved to Orlando, Florida with my fiance. About to make big fucking moves. You're about to take over the world, honestly. Coach Juice has become a worldwide movement, man. We're about to take over, so I'm excited for that. But again, man, whatever you're chasing right now, if it hits you in the face, like it will, don't stop. Because again, everything happens for you, not to you. You just have to be willing to see the good out of the bad. Again, after I was able to graduate college in May, if you've seen the reels that's going viral on TikTok, yes, we made it out of the mud, out of the trenches. Thing I always say, Veni Vidi Vici, I came, I saw, I conquered. For all the Italians out there, let's fucking go. I finished that too. And man, again, like the connections you made in life are so important because you just gotta network. It's just gonna open so many doors for you. So before we wrap it up, I just wanna get into some real quick, like we talked about before. Your support system. Again, with Mia, now my fiance, I think it's crucial to have somebody like that, or it's really helpful. Because I believe a big part of, again, like you turn out like the five closest people you hang around. I only hang around like one person, that's Mia. Like literally, like during the whole combine process, I've maybe talked to two friends. Big shout out to my boy Eddie and my boy Noah. But other than that, it's like I was so tunnel vision. I was on a mission and nobody else could understand what I was going through except those 2 to 3 people. So it's important to keep your circle small, that they know your mission, so they don't bring any distractions. Because distractions are there's so many out there. But them and especially Mia were able to like keep me locked in, keep me tunnel vision. Mia, if you want to jump in here and explain how you were able to support me during this process, or how somebody else could find somebody in that sense that could help them to achieve something big during that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically for us, I knew from like day one that I saw him in our class. That's how we met. We had a class together and we were student athletes, so we saw each other around campus. But I knew just from seeing him and his aura and his like, he was kind of like an alpha male, but like not the toxic kind. I just knew I wanted him. But he was making me work for it. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So I basically just kind of had to show him that I was dedicated to him and the mission. But I didn't obviously understand the mission until about 8 months in, but I still was able to fully give myself to him and his cause because I knew at the end of the day what he was going to do was going to be big. And I knew he was going to provide for him and us and our future. So as soon as I was able to understand that fully is when I was able to help him fully. And it was obviously a learning progress. We had to communicate a lot. We had to tell each other, I need this from you, I need that from you. This would be helpful or that would be helpful. So it's not always sunshine and rainbows, obviously, but
Hell nah.
it's really not. I mean, that's any relationship, like friendships with your family members and with your spouses. Like, it's never going to be so easy like that. But once you talk and you communicate what your expectations are and what your needs are, that is when you're able to help your partner fully. And I just had to kind of put a lot of my wants out. Like, say I wanted to go do something fun, or I wanted to do this, or I wanted to watch a movie with him, but he needed to get his 10 hours. So then I'd be like, okay, we can do that a different night or a different day. It's just stuff like that. Like, I would never, like, ask him to, like, have a drink with me. Like, if I was having a glass of wine, like, I would never put that on him because that's not his standard. But he had to accept that sometimes I would want to let loose and have a couple glasses of wine. And he was like, that's just fine for you. You know, like, you're still winning on your side as well.
Here goes back to the whole mantra of the show. You gotta separate to elevate. I think that's just the core of what we've done, what we've built. You have to separate from all. I call them the peasants. You gotta separate from the peasants, from the losers, from the people who don't want or say you can't do stuff, to be able to move up in life.
And like those I don't like saying peasants. I think it's, but I know what he's talking about, and it's basically just like people who don't have like an actual goal, who are kind of lost in life right now. And unfortunately, that's kind of like people's like late teens, early 20s, and that's a lot of people that we've met in college. But it's like you have to keep them at a distance, and you have to stay focused on what you want to do.
Love them from a distance. That's what I always say. Love them from a distance.
You can be friendly with people, but you don't have to be their true friends. As harsh as that sounds, like you can keep people at a distance while still, saying, "All right, love, love, love," but like I'm gonna do me and you do you. So there's no bad blood. But you have to stay focused on what you want to do. And I think Julian also like he is just that type of person that inspires you to be a better version of yourself. So he has helped me get in line with his vision and his mission for life as well. So change a whole bunch of things within myself and my lifestyle just by being with Julian. And that's just kind of like how it is when you're with somebody who is so motivated and dedicated to just like a higher like way of life.
There you guys go. There you go. So I know a lot of guys be asking, guys and girls, whatever, what's next for Coach Juice? What's the plan? What's the moves? So again, move to Orlando right now. The only thing I can disclose is we're about to take the world over. But also we back with the podcast. Big news coming soon, and we're about to take over. I'm trying to. Okay, let's put this: one podcast a week on Saturdays or Sundays, whatever. Just one time a week, I'm gonna drop an episode, bunch of different topics, trying to bring on some great guests, even famous guests, whatever. Just make this shit blow up. Thank you for listening. I'm trying to also make it now a video version on YouTube soon, so making moves, man. You already know where you can find me at Julian Baldi on Instagram, Coach Juice on TikTok, all that good stuff. If you need supplements, link in my bio, the Science for Sport. All my workouts also link in my bio, my workout app. Try it out for 7 days for free, man. We're just here to take over. Out from Italy, out from the trenches, making big moves. Can't wait for you guys to actually show what we got cooking. What we got cooking. With this being said, man, appreciate you guys listening. All love. Catch you guys next time.
Bye.